fire. Nice.
Hey guys, Buffing Game back today, bringing another video for our Warzone weapons. And today we're going to be covering the MVD SOBR shAK-12 build. So the other day we covered the Special Operating Forces MCX build that we've seen used by the Ukrainian Special Forces units in Ukraine. Today's weapon is going to be the shAK-12 or the shAK-12, which we haven't seen in any photos yet, but it's something I suspect we may end up seeing here in the future, depending. Now again, for this video, we're not going to be getting political or anything like that. Just we're a channel that enjoys weapons and keeping an eye on what the weapons that are being used over there in the Ukraine-Russian battle or war going on right now. So we're going to kind of theorize as to builds we're going to be seeing, and I suspect we will be seeing this particular weapon in use when combat gets more urban, if it gets more urban in the future. So I wanted to kind of pre-build this thing and take it back into Warzone, Caldera, and Rebirth and just see how it worked. So in the gameplay, you're going to see a mix of Rebirth as well as Caldera. And there's a couple different builds for the shAK-12 here, or the ODEN as it's known in-game. And again, this weapon, I would say, is of the Modern Warfare weapons, is one of the most slept on or underrated weapons. However, it is also one of the most versatile weapons for the Modern Warfare weapons in general. We look at this weapon, you can build this thing for multiple different engagements and play styles. You can have you'll see the different weapons here that I'm using. I kind of used almost all the kind of builds that you would want to use here for the most part. That being a long-range assault rifle with the longest barrel suppressor and the VLK. And then also I used a build with a sniper optic on there as the VKS, and then a short barrel, base barrel build with a monolithic suppressor to utilize it for a close quarters hip fire support with my PKM. So I'll go ahead and really quick we'll back out. I'll show you the build I'm going to be using here. The main build that I got here for the Caldera win. However, you can put together the pieces for the other builds you'll be seeing here in the video. But this is my favorite build, I think, of this thing. It's so satisfying to get kills in close quarters here. Now, we're going to be running the monolithic suppressor. Just because it's a shorter suppressor versus the colossal suppressor, still going to give us all the pros and same cons minus the recoil control. But again, this is for close quarters, so we don't really need that additional recoil control. 5mW laser for our hipfire, our EOTech or combat holographic just for a nice optic. And then we're going to run that 30-round magazine just so in case we come into multiple enemies, we can dump that whole mag where we need to. And then the Merc foregrip again, just for the additional recoil control and the hipfire accuracy. Pair that with a 5mW laser, and you have a really, really solid close quarters support weapon here. And then, again, backing out really quick, you can see here for our operators, we have our Russian FSB, or really in real life what it is the Ministry of Interior Defense SOBR unit, which is essentially a police or SWAT type unit, which does do counter-terrorist drills and also operations with the military from time to time. But jump back into the gameplay here, you'll see again this weapon just puts people down really, really quick. In real life, this thing designated the shAK-12, also known as the shAK-12, but the shAK-12 is, I believe, its official designation for its production name. But this is a really unique weapon. The reason I suspect we may end up seeing this in the Russo-Ukrainian war here in the future when things get into urban combat is because of the purpose of this weapon. That is, it fires a 12.7 by 55mm STS-130 cartridge. And really quick, if we compare that to other rounds that are for a similar purpose, we have the case itself. In this photo, you'll see you have the case of the 12.7 by 55 on the far right compared to the 50 cal Beowulf next to that, the 499 LWR, and then on the far left being the 7.62 by 39mm Russian AK round. So you can just see that's the case itself is bigger than all of those rounds. So you can obviously tell this is a big round. And again, there's a bunch of different round types of this with different grainage for the round itself to make it heavier, lighter, armor penetrating, extra armor penetration. Also, a lot of these are subsonic rounds because they're so heavy. But again, this rifle itself was built for one thing, and that was it was requested by the FSB for close quarters urban combat for counterterrorism operations mainly. But it does fire this large 50 caliber round, the 12.7 by 55, in order to penetrate through objects and more specifically body armor to put people down quick and again punch through walls and things like that, which you can definitely take advantage of that in the game. And this thing does hit really hard in game, which makes it a lot of fun to use. that big 12.7 by 55 round will destroy people very quickly, as you'll see in the gameplay here. Now, again, this weapon was originally put into service in 2011, and it's been in service through present. However, like I said, I do suspect we'll probably see some of this weapon being used going forward in real life here, unfortunately. But it is something to keep an eye out for. I've seen a lot of AS Vals and other Russian weapons that we've basically anything we've wanted to see minus an AEK or a 107. The shAK-12 is the only thing I have yet to see. However, I have heard some people say that they did see some photos of this thing floated around being used there. So we'll have to wait and see what's going on with that. So let me know what you guys think down below, if we're going to be seeing this or not. Let me know your thoughts about this weapon, how it plays out in game. And again, definitely an underrated weapon to go ahead and keep an eye on and try and use if you haven't yet. Again, it works in both Rebirth and Caldera. A lot of fun to use this weapon, and this is one of those go-to weapons that I just have a lot of fun using in Warzone in general, just because it's so satisfying to get kills with all these different builds. No one ever suspects you're using it, and everyone's usually in shock when they get killed by it. So let me know what your thoughts are down below. This is Buffner Gaming with the FSB, the Russian FSB, or the SOBR shAK-12. Till next time, Buffner Gaming, out.
I'm gonna tip that game.
That was good. That was really good.
FSB2, we both have TKSPs at so. Make that perfectly, man. What can I say? Dude, we look so cool.
Yeah, that's epic win.